5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's time to count down reality TV's most talked about moments with Amanda Bella. Hey everybody, welcome back to Bella Talks TV. This is Amanda Bella, and I'm hoping that I've got lots of new listeners here from meeting you all at Bravo Fan Fest over the weekend. I definitely have a Bravo hangover, and I've been doing my best to get my life together after this insane weekend. We're going to get right into it this week. So again, if it's your first time here, welcome to Bella Talks TV. I'm Amanda Bella. And I am really going to jump into it, just into the deep end this week, because so much has happened. I mean, we know that we're living in this age of Bravo right now where we have like 5 Housewives shows airing. Every single trailer is dropping that's like ever happened. And doesn't it feel kind of like Bravo like knows something that we don't know? Like it just feels like they're trying to like get everything out. I mean, the only thing I know that's in production right now is The Real Housewives of Miami. So everything else is like not filming right now. It just feels very weird, the way that the scheduling and everything is going to be dropping with the future show schedules. So, I mean, we're going to get right into everything that's currently airing and all of the on and off screen drama that's the shows that are on right now. But I just cannot help but think after being at Bravo Fan Fest that we are going to have a lot of changing in the programming coming up. And it's going to be really just weird. I think I'm just having this existential crisis, like being there, thinking about Bravo, thinking about Andy, thinking about how like eventually this thing will all have to like come to an end someday. And so, yeah, not to start off on like a bad note this week, but I think I'm trying to have a balance of feeling really thankful and grateful for it happening now. And like, you know, those memes that are like, out of all of the millions of years of existence, like you got to exist at the same time as Bravo Real Housewives. So I need to just be grateful and be so happy for, you know, the time that we've had with them. But I just cannot help but feel like it deep in my gut somewhere, like I just do not know what the future of these shows are going to be. So let's talk about more about Bravo Fan Fest. So again, if you're here, if you met me this weekend at Bravo Fan Fest, please, you know, leave a comment, say what's up. I met so many amazing people, girls that are just killing it in the world. Also, like so many men were there. Like I would say, you know, of course, there's always more women, but I felt like there was like a decent balance in men and women there. The festival in general was pretty good. Now, as somebody who's been to all of the BravoCons, every meet and greet, I mean, there's been a lot of Bravo events in the past couple of years. Some of them have been hits and some of them have been misses. So it's really, you know, I would say on this scale, this was a pretty good hit. Like now that I've come down from the high of the Bravo-ness of the weekend, this was a pretty good event. So I'm going to do a separate episode that is going to be all about the Bravo Fan Fest tea that was spilled and kind of my reaction to some of the news. And again, more deeper thoughts about the future of Bravo, and kind of keeping that like into its own separate show because there's just so much information that came out there, and being there on the floor and just like seeing the reactions of people. And you know, it was just a really interesting crowd there. There were so many people that were there that had never been to a Bravo event before. And it was lacking the community that I know from all of the other events. Like literally nobody that I knew was there. I can maybe count on like 5 fingers, like one hand, how many like Bravo influencers I saw there. Like it just felt like nobody was there. And a lot of the people that were there were like local Florida people, or people that were like, you know, in the entourage. There was definitely some people that had traveled and everything. A handful of people doing the questions where you line up and you get to stand at the mic and do that. Like, you know, I didn't really have the energy to get up and do that this weekend. I didn't ask any questions directly at the mic, but I have friends that did that and that went up and were brave enough and stuff. I think I was just there to like soak it all in. So again, I want to do a separate episode just about Bravo Fan Fest. And then that also brings me into my plan for December. So we are only a few days away from December right now. I have like 5 days to kind of finish organizing this plan. But I had a little epiphany. Like I have been dying to just get into the habit of potting more, even if, I mean, you guys know I am DORIT long-winded. I barely get an episode out that is under an hour. So I just always have so much to say. And it would be better if I probably split the episodes up throughout the week into like smaller bites so that they're easier for everybody to consume. They're a little more organized, they're a little more niche. And I can keep my top 5 countdown as it's still like as its show itself, but then start to add in some more of these other topics and everything that I want to talk about and things I want to go over and guests that I want to have. And it's just going to push me. So what I'm going to do is kind of like an advent calendar. And so every day of December leading up to Christmas, there's going to be a new episode that I release. It's just going to be like a mystery episode. So I'm going to, when you open the advent calendar, like you don't really know what's in there until you open it and see. So every day on my Instagram, I'll have a graphic that I'm going to put out, that's like, make sure you check out today's advent calendar. And then it will be an episode anywhere from 5 minutes to 5 hours. There will be a little episode in there on some kind of topic, some kind of thought, some kind of opinion. And hopefully I can get you guys to come check in with me every day in December leading up to Christmas and just get to know me better over the next month. And then I'm going to have even bigger goals and bigger announcements for January. So this is going to be ramping up into Bella Talks TV 2025, all of the goals that I have. And I'm excited. So thank you for being here. And thank you for, if you've been a loyal day one listener, I appreciate you. If I just met you over the weekend, thanks for being here and listening. And let's get into it. So let's start, if it's your first time here, how the show works every week. It's a top 5 countdown of reality TV's most talked about moments, on screen, off screen, anything having to do reality TV. My sources, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky. I'm on Blue Sky now. Make sure you come follow me there at Bella Talks TV. Everything is at Bella Talks TV, all of my handles. Check out my YouTube. If you're seeing me here on video, you'll see little Candy is here. The sun is starting to shine. It's been raining all morning here in New York. I just got back from Florida and I was starting to feel a little sick. I was kind of, like I said, had a little bit of a Bravo hangover. So I wasn't sure when I was going to get this episode out for you guys this week. So I'm very grateful and thankful to be here with each and every one of you. We do a top 5 countdown. I also do an OMG and an LOL of the week. So I try to find something that just had my jaw on the floor a moment. My OMG, kind of like the peak in the pit or the rose and the thorn of the week, Kardashian lore. Some of our other shows love to do little things like that, just to kind of find like the high of the week and the low of the week in the reality TV world. And then I also like to do segments kind of like what no one's really talking about, like TV shows that I think deserve a little bit more of the online fodder that we're not seeing and need more eyes on, because reality TV is not just, Bravo. It's not just Teen Mom on MTV, or it's not just Jersey Shore. It's not just the Kardashians. Like, it's all of these shows that have made me who I am today and made this show possible. So I like to cover it all. I will always, I will never apologize for this being, though, a Bravo heavy space. Bravo means so much to me. I wrote, a sappy little post on my Instagram just talking about how for the last 18 years, like, this has been a constant in my life. I pretty much have known every Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday night, or whatever, Sunday night, I'm going to have a Housewives show on. And for somebody who, as you start to listen to the show, you'll get to know me personally, a little bit more about me. And, I love my family. I'm close with my family. My parents are still together. I'm from the Midwest. And I think there's something about coming from a very normal, traditional family that is quite boring, frankly, to watching these different TV dynamics and these shows and these family dynamics that we see in the Housewives sphere and a lot of these other reality TV shows. I mean, family, there are certain things in life that like we all have in common, right? Like family, relationships, work, stress, like, there's just things that are part of like the human experience. So I think watching reality TV is leaning into that and finding these commonalities and also finding room to discourse the differences in the ways people choose to live their lives. So it's all kind of like a study in sociology and psychology, which I'm also super into. So getting into it, let's start with my OMG and my LOL of the week. So we have a couple. Now, I wanted to be sensitive around this topic. Trigger warning, we will be talking about suicide here because we did lose somebody in the Bravo sphere. And we've talked a while about who is going to be the first housewife to die. Like, what a dark thought, right? Like, we don't even want to think about that. Like, I had my own mortality into question this weekend and seeing Andy and just how much older he's gotten. And it's hard aging on Bravo and aging in this world. And it's inevitable that we're going to lose people. That is life. And it's tragic when we lose them unexpectedly. And we lost somebody in the Bravo sphere this weekend. His name was Matt Byers, best known as Karen Huger from the Real Housewives of Potomac's assistant PR manager. He also worked with Melissa Gorga, and she wrote a very heartfelt Instagram tribute to him as well over the weekend. But we did lose Matt, and it has been ruled as a suicide. Unfortunately, we know Matt was identifying LGBTQI a question mark. I'm not sure if he struggled. It seems like, according to Melissa's Instagram post, we did not see this coming because she was like, it seems like she had just seen him earlier in the week and that she was like, Matt, I just saw you. Why didn't you tell me earlier? Like, it really is hurting. Karen also, their other housewives of Potomac were asking that we all support Karen and reach out to her and make sure that we are letting her know that we're thinking of her too, because they were both very close with him. And I think they're both very affected by the loss of him. And suicide is something that I think a lot of people feel guilty for and they take on personally because they think that they could have done something. They wish they could have done something. And I just want to say rest in peace. I didn't even really want to make this like my OMG of the week, even though it was very shocking. And I was at Bravo Fan Fest when the news dropped. I believe it was Saturday morning. I couldn't even really process it. And I had some people reaching out to me asking if anybody had really brought it up at Bravo Fan Fest. I didn't hear anybody talking about it. I think out of respect and just wanting to keep like the vibes high that day. But, Karen Huger was not at Bravo Fan Fest. Neither was Melissa Gorga. Obviously, none of the Jersey housewives were there. So it was just kind of like a small, sad undertone that kind of hit everybody. But I just want to say I'm sorry to Matt that you felt like you couldn't, do this any longer. That makes me sad. And that makes my heart hurt because I just never want anybody to think that. Like, it is so obvious that people cared and would have done anything for him. But when you're unable to see that yourself, it is just mental illness and again, part of the human experience and trying to learn how to deal with these emotions and some of these hardships that we have to overcome in life. So just want to say, if you're struggling out there, please know that I consider myself a great resource because I truly am empathetic and want to help people in this headspace. So if you are someone that struggles or you need resources, please reach out to me at Bella Talks TV. I'm not going to counsel you. I'm not going to pretend to be a professional, mental health professional, but I will help you and get pointed in the right direction. So I want to share the OMG space with something positive as well that dropped, because one thing that I do believe, I'm a little woo-wooey, and I will talk about manifesting. I will talk about the universe. I will talk about, some of these obscure ways of thinking. And I do believe something in the balance of the universe is that like when we lose somebody, a new life does come in. And there's like when energy can never be destroyed. We've talked about this. I love for you guys to go back and check out my episode where I talked about Brittany from Love is Blind on her TikTok teaching me about how energy can never be destroyed or created. It's just a constant. So Matt's energy will always be with us. And then again, a new energy that we just found out that is coming into this world that is not here yet, but actually maybe the energy of already thinking about this baby being born and being announced is part of, again, the human experience. But Kristen Doute, yes, the one and only, has announced her pregnancy this morning to Luke Broderick, who we know is Van Gogh, who we know, if you guys are listening to the podcast, I'm not a big fan of Luke. And I didn't necessarily want them to be together. Now we know Kristen and Luke did get engaged in season 2 of The Valley filming. I believe it was on the cast trip at the end. Were they in Hawaii? I believe so. So they're engaged. They announced that they've been doing IVF. Unclear if they got pregnant from IVF or naturally. I'm sure we'll find out. But there's just something about this guy. I don't know. It's just a gut feeling, you guys. Congratulations, Kristen, though. I have to say, like, I'm so happy for her. I think he's what I'm struggling with. I love Kristen so much. Kristen is my Michigan girly. There's nobody like Kristen Doute. You know, I'm just interested to see what this new chapter is. And I think this again brings me back to like the end of an era. The people in the Bravo sphere, the Bravo reality stars are changing so much. We're all growing older. We're all growing up together. And I just feels like, again, like another door closing here. Like Kristen will never be the same. So RIP to the end of Kristen Doute as we knew her. Kristen Doute as the mother, as the wife, here she comes. So maybe it's time that we embrace the growing up of these people, but it's a bittersweet feeling is what I'm trying to say. I'm happy for her, but I'm also sad that we're never going to have like the same Kristen anymore. So we will see when they're due. I should really just pull up, like, Bravo texted me. That's how important this was today. Oh my gosh. I have Bravo texting me so many different things today. So the first text I have from them that says, Kristen Doute is pregnant. The Valley star and VPR alum just announced that she and her fiance, Luke Broderick, are expecting their first baby together. Tap the link for all the sweet details. So let's tap the link, okay? Let's tap the link because I want to see what the official announcement does say. Kristen Doute is pregnant and expecting her first child with fiance Luke Broderick, the Valley cast member who previously appeared on the first 8 seasons of Vanderpump Rules, announced the exciting news to people on November 26th. So it was a people official announcement, which we love. So they explained that they had a pregnancy loss earlier in the year. So this is a rainbow baby for them. Kristen told the outlet, I knew my age could be a factor in conceiving, so Luke and I discussed going in for a little extra push. The couple met with a fertility specialist at the Southern California Reproductive Center, and they ultimately used IUI. Okay, so they used IUI to conceive, which is different, than IVF, you guys. IVF, you have to freeze your eggs, you have to have the egg fertilized, put in, you have to do all that stuff. You don't have to do that with an IUI. IUI is basically intrauterine insemination, where it is just putting the sperm like into the womb with like the extra help. So, alrighty. So it says 2 weeks following the IUI procedure, I had to wait it out, but in my heart, I knew it had worked. I tested 1 day early and got the big pregnant results staring back at me. So yes, she basically says she knew right away. And then she revealed that her baby is due June 2025. Gosh, is she going to have a Cancer or a Gemini? She's 40. Okay, so Kristen is 40. All right, so congrats to Kristen. I've already spoke too much about this. I think I was just shocked to find that out this morning. So that is both my OMGs of the week. So let's get into my LOL of the week. Moving over to the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. So much has been going on over there. I cannot even believe like the amount of people that I met at Bravo Fan Fest that do not watch Salt Lake City. I'm like, I don't understand. Like, you only watch Atlanta? You only watch Beverly Hills? Like, you're really missing out. So again, if you do not watch The Real Houses of Salt Lake City, like, what are you doing? But my LOL of the week has got to be those bangs that Meredith was wearing. Everyone has been talking about them, first of all. The bangs were talked about more than like any of the content of the show. And there's a lot going on that show. So let's tap in over to Breakfast at Mary's for my LOL of the week. Now, if you guys didn't see, Meredith, she basically had a bun. I wish I could do it here. She had a bun on the top of her head, and then the bangs from the bun came down over the forehead, and then they were Breakfast and Tiffany's like onto her and kind of like down. So they were quite the look. And a lot of the girls had a hard time pulling off this Breakfast at Mary's theme. Even Mary herself was like, wow, like I didn't even give them the gift because none of them participated in the theme. They all dressed up looking insane. Heather had this big turtleneck on. I think Angie looked the best. Angie looked the most like Breakfast at Tiffany's. And I think that we also had, Meredith, with the bang, obviously. Mary, she kind of, she was doing her thing. Lisa just showed up wearing that Tiffany blue Fendi jumpsuit that Mary had previously worn on Watch What Happens Live, and they kind of have a who wore it better moment. The theme was all over the place. Brittany, I don't think dressed up at all. I think didn't they say something about the invitation and her not even like understanding there was a theme? She showed up just wearing like jeans and like a regular top. Oh my gosh. So there was a lot going on here. We start with Angie talking about how, which is again the second LOL of the week, talking about how Abraham Lincoln had Greek key Versace plates. And I think that she was just not understanding the timeline of life and how Gianni Versace wasn't born until like 100 years after Abe Lincoln had died. So that was the first LOL. That was like before we even really had realized Meredith was about to have this huge like moment with her phone, and then Whitney in the confessional doing the, oh, my phone with the wig on the head. Oh, there was a lot going on in this episode. There was a lot to laugh at. Another LOL moment of the week for that was when Brittany stood up and gave her Sheena Shea monologue, and she was like, what about me? When are we going to talk about me? When am I going to have my moment where I get to confront everybody? That had me rolling on the floor laughing. But I think for me, like the true funniest moment is just Meredith as a whole. She is a comedian. Like we do not have any other reality TV stars like her right now. She lives in this world that is not real life. Like it is the definition of delusion. Again, I want her to never leave TV. And she was at Bravo Fan Fest this weekend. She still was, I think, just saying random things. Whitney was on X or Instagram or whatever all weekend too, like having to reply and be like, Meredith is there just like lying on me. And that was one of my biggest problems about Bravo Fan Fest, was that it was not everybody from the cast. It was only 1, 2, maybe 3, if we were lucky, cast members from each show. And so when you only have one person there telling their side of the story, giving their version of things, getting to answer questions about filming, it left a lot of room for there to be like, no, that's not true, or that's not really how things went down. And it was just like, I don't know. It was, I didn't really like that. I prefer the Bravo Con version where it's almost like a reunion back and forth in the moment. That's not true. That's not. And then I think also the girls being the only one there, like, let's just say like, for instance, like Southern Charm, right? It was just Madison and Shep there. So Shep could say anything about any of the guys or anything or whatever. And it was like, no one was there to say, it was just a very weird dynamic. So with Meredith and Heather and Lisa being there, they've kind of been like the three that have been to all of the events on the circuit. Whitney hasn't been doing a lot of the press. Mary wasn't there. Bronwyn wasn't there. Brittany wasn't there. It was just, I don't know. It's weird to only have some of them there. With Meredith, I will say, she is just, I love her crazy style. Like I am obsessed with the fact that she always is wearing a blazer. Like blazers are, I would never wear a blazer. Like I am not a blazer girly. No offense if you are. Love it, live it. Live, laugh, love the blazers. But it could just not be me. And she wears the blazer like every single day. Like I need to know how many blazers she owns with a matching skirt set. It's a lot. That's her signature look. So just from the fashion to the ponytail to the whole thing that was going on there, from Brittany standing up to Bronwyn putting Heather in the place about that, it was my goddamn credit card, to Heather saying, I've always lied about my birthday and not a single person here knows, which I kind of have a problem with Heather doing so much lying. It's giving Mia from Potomac. Like, why are we lying so much? Real Housewives of Salt Lake City is a laugh fest. Please go watch. Please go watch. So let's take a small break here and then we'll get into my top 5 countdown of the week. And welcome back to Bella Talks TV. This is Amanda Bella here again. Okay, let's get into my number 5 most talked about moment of the week. It's going to be over at the Married at First Sight universe. And we've got to talk about this show because, again, you guys, if you're not watching it Married at First Sight, I can't beg you more. It is the most insane show about 5 couples that basically have arranged marriages. As soon as they get married, they meet at the altar, they get married, they go on a honeymoon with all the other couples, and drama and just chaos ensues immediately every single season. So we are now catching up with all of the couples in Mexico. And let's just run down the line really fast. We have Madison and Alan, Carla and Juan, Michelle and David, Akichi and Em. Who am I missing? And Thomas and Camille. Duh. Of course I would forget them because if you guys are watching, you know they're like a little bit more of the more boring couple. So yeah, not a lot of drama with them yet. But the most drama is really going on between, I would say, 2 of the main couples. So Madison and Alan and Michelle and David. So Michelle and Madison are kind of like similar Chicago white girls. Now I can say that because I'm a Chicago white girl, so I know that we're all kind of similar. You know, Midwest girl's a Midwest girl. Even my husband being from New York all the time, like he'll be like, that girl's from Michigan. I'm like, you right. Like girls from Michigan, Indiana, Wisconsin, Illinois. Yes, we're all on the same vibe. And that's okay. You know, culturally, girls from the South, girls from the West Coast, you know, stereotypes are real. Like pretending that we like all live in this world where nobody's a stereotype and everyone's some type of individual and nobody like picks up on culture cues from the areas that they live and lets them affect them and influence them is delusional. And of course, you guys just have to admit that religions, cultural things, regions that you live in, whatever, they all influence us. Okay. We're not all that special. We're not all just these like amazing individuals that come up with things and have like all these individual thoughts and all of these independent, you know, ways of thinking. So the more you start to realize that we are influenced by our culture and by the people that we watch on TV and the people that we see in our real lives, the more that you'll be able to kind of sort through what's real and what's not and what you connect with. So yeah, there's just my little mental health moment for the day. But okay, so Michelle, the real drama here is going to be with Michelle and David. So Michelle went into this as a 38-year-old woman who hasn't been in a relationship in 6 years. A lot of the people that go onto this show are people that are similar like this, right? That are like, okay, I've been dating. I can't find anybody. I want to get married and start a family. Starting to become later in life. Like, let me just try Married at First Sight. Now, there have been 18 seasons of this show. So that's a lot of couples that we've been through. It's really not that uncommon anymore. Like you're starting to realize the world that we live in, dating's gotten a lot harder. I feel blessed as fuck that I never had to do online dating. I think that like, it sounds like one of the most scary universes in the world. So my heart goes out to you if that's somebody, you know, if that's something that you've had to deal with or something that you are dealing with currently. But, you know, meeting the old fashioned way, meeting in person, and even meeting the real old fashioned way by way of an arranged marriage like this is something that you don't see every day. So it's very fascinating to watch on a reality TV show. Now, David and Michelle, I think Michelle made sense. You know, she was 38, whatever. David's a little bit younger. I think he's only 35 or 36. I think that he had definitely way more of a chance of meeting somebody in real life. So I'm not sure truly why he went on this show. I just don't really, I think that he was like recruited, and that's something that they don't talk about a lot on these shows are the recruitment and the way that they cast the show. And not everybody that goes onto these shows are people that applied to be on the show. So sure, there's the people that apply that you're always like, are they there for the right reasons? Did they just want to be on the show so that they could get clout and followers? Or do they really want to get married? And then there are people that probably weren't even looking, but like they found the girl first and then they're trying to find the guy in the area that will match the girl. I think for some reason they found David for Michelle because he is physically exactly what she expected and is his type and everything. So a lot of the time you would think Married at First Sight, like, oh my God, I'm not going to be physically attracted to them. So then you're going to have to like build on that, which is harder sometimes than an emotional connection. But with her, she's just like not willing to. And it's all coming down to the fact that he still lives with his parents. And of course, when everybody hears that, they're like, who wants to live with a guy who lives with his parents, or who wants to marry a guy that's doing that? But like, he goes on to explain, first of all, it's really not that uncommon anymore, especially in the climate of the economy. He goes on to also explain that their family had a family business. I believe it was a family bar in Chicago. Specifically, a lot of bars are in what are like residential buildings that might have an apartment above it or below it, or a garden unit that's underneath the bar that people live in. So I think that they owned the building that had a bar in it, but also had space to live in it. But then when the pandemic came and all of this stuff happened, the plans for David to live in the bar, or either reopen the bar and live in it, whatever had happened with it, did not go through. So he went back to working full time. It's not like the guy doesn't have a job. He works full time. He makes great money. And he just decided to live at home because they sold that building. Because again, during the pandemic, remember when like real estate was at an all-time high? So they made like a family decision to sell that condo. So this all comes down to the reasoning and the explanation why David still lives with his parents, but Michelle's refusing to listen. Every single time he tries to explain to her, talk to her, have anything to do with his wife that he just married, she will not listen. She shuts him down. She tells him she needs space. And then when she says, oh, I don't just need space, I need a whole day away from you. When we know that in 8 weeks of being married during this experiment, like one full day of not talking, it's just not going to happen. The experts aren't going to let it happen. The producers aren't going to let it happen. So it's like, why did you sign up for this show, Michelle? So again, this all brings me to the idea that she has got to be one of the wives that switches, right? So we're starting to see like, okay, Michelle and David, are they the ones that are going to end up, okay, they obviously can't stand each other at this point. Even David is like, I'm like pretty much done trying, which I don't blame him for one bit. Like usually, of course, in reality TV, we always want to blame the man, and the man's not trying, and yeah, he does live at home. But no, I think even if you guys are watching the after show for Married at First Sight, everyone kind of seems to be on David's side here. So in this latest episode, David goes down to the gym to work out, and he runs into Madison. And Madison is wife. And I actually got really good vibes from them in the beginning. It seemed like they had an emotional connection. Now, Alan, he's not really like a great looking guy, which is the opposite problem as David. David's actually like hot, I think. So for me, it's like, if you're not going to have an emotional attraction or a physical attraction, now I'm concerned for Madison and Alan, because I thought Madison would at least emotionally be connected to Alan, but now he's starting to come off kind of immature. He wears like fruit underwear and like vegetable socks every day. Like, I'm sorry, you're right. Like, there are certain things like that's giving way more immature than living at home because your family sold a business or whatever's going on with David. So I actually think my official prediction is that Madison and Michelle switch and we give it a go. I don't think that Michelle's going to like Alan anymore, but I do think that there's more of a possibility that Madison and David are going to hit it off. So that's really my number 5 most talked about moment of the week, is the wife swap, the continuing and developing wife swap situation going on Married at First Sight. If you're not watching the show, please go catch up. Again, we are only 5 episodes in. It's such an easy catch up. The episodes are long, but if you can watch them without the commercials, it does help. Because Lifetime tends to show tons of commercials. And with the after show included, it's like a 3-hour commitment with the commercials. So do not, take your time watching it, but please go give it a watch. There's just so much to unpack there. And we're going to be continuing. And I'm not going to be surprised if eventually these start moving up to like my number 1 most talked about moment of the week. Because as this show develops, I know it's going to keep getting crazier and crazier. So, okay, my number 4 most talked about moment of the week, moving on. We're going to check in with a couple of divorces that were announced this week. So we had 2 big Bravo divorces announced. We had the official announcement that Lisa and Lenny have settled their divorce. And again, this is Lisa and Lenny Hochstein, Real Houses of Miami, one of like the craziest divorces ever. When Lisa had that moment on the Miami Housewives where she was sitting there and she told the girls like, no, Lenny's cheating. It's another girl. He's leaving me. That was huge. That was huge, you guys. Because if you didn't watch The Real Housewives of Miami from the beginning, then you don't have that emotional connection to Lisa Hochstein like I do. I've been watching Lisa and Lenny for like over a decade. And Lisa used to be so delusional. She used to be, no way my man would cheat. No way my man would ever leave. Like, we hate each other, but we are married for life. Like, we're not even ever going to consider a divorce. Like, she used to really stand by her man no matter how awful he was. And the fact that he pretty much ended up leaving her and like forcing the divorce was a total cultural shift in the Bravo sphere. One of the most talked about reality TV moments of Bravo of all time, I have to say. It's like really up there on my list for me. So the fact that they're officially divorced, Lisa said that her settlement is damn good because she was with him basically since the beginning of his plastic surgery practice. Like, I don't know if she was with him right when he started it, right when he got out of medical school. Like, I can't really, put the age together, but she was with him basically from the beginning of him doing all of his businesses. So she gets, I think, half of what he's built. So she seems to be very happy with her settlement. Now, she is still with Jody, as far as we know. And they've been teasing a little bit of drama that a boyfriend has came in between best friends on the show. Now, this is reading to me like Lisa and Larsa are fighting, and it's got to be over Marcus or Jody, one of them. And if you guys don't remember, Marcus Jordan and Larsa Pippen. Oh, okay. One of my favorite things about Bravo FanFest, BravoCon is when you're there, the women are doing panels and they're hanging out and, they're doing their photo ops and stuff. And if they have a boyfriend, partner, husband, or whatever that is accompanying them to the festival, they're usually just walking around, standing at the stage, floating. Like, they're not up on the stage with them. They're not even really backstage. So they're kind of there hanging out. So one of the most insane ones I ever saw was Marcus Jordan, right? Like, I'm at BravoCon, I'm hanging out, and then all of a sudden Marcus Jordan's just like standing there next to you. I loved it. So I don't know. I was weirdly obsessed with Marcus and Larsa. And now when they broke up, and then we saw Marcus with that paparazzi photo over the summer with him doing coke, sitting in Saint Tropez or whatever at brunch when him and Larsa had just broken up. Oh my gosh. There are just so many things that go on with them. But okay, so back to Lisa and Lenny. They're officially divorced. It's crazy. And there's just a lot going on. I can't wait to see what happens in this upcoming season of Miami when they talk about it. Another divorce that was announced officially, which has been a long time coming, is Ashley Darby and Michael Darby are officially filed. So they haven't been settled yet. We don't know how little Miss Ashley is going to make out because, again, I think they had not a prenup, but they have had either a postnup or something that happened with Ashley and Michael where I don't think that she's necessarily getting half of what Michael built, which we know, again, Michael is also a very successful businessman. One reason why is because I think that Ashley was so much younger. She was only like in her early 20s when she married Michael. And I think a lot of his money had already been made by then. So I don't think that she's entitled to any of the money that he had before they were together. Only entitled to some of what was made while they were together. And then I still think that they had to be married for a certain amount of years. And then there's also a house that was bought for her and the child support. And there's a lot that went into Ashley's divorce. Hers, I don't think. I mean, we know that Lisa and Lenny's was very messy and there was a lot of financial stuff going on there, forensic accounting. But I think the Potomac divorce is going to be a little bit different with Ashley and Michael. It is because I don't think Ashley's going to maybe get as much in the end. And I think that's why she's been really hesitant to leave Michael officially and finalize. But at the end of the day, money can't keep you from moving on in your life. And I think Ashley's doing the right thing. I still can't believe that she's a year younger than me. Well, she's 11 months younger than me. Just crazy how much she's been through in the, stress that she's had as somebody who has been married to Michael all these years and is the mother of his children. Yeah, just kind of crazy that we've had those two major divorces announced this week. Those were my number 4 most talked about moments of the week. Moving on to my number 3 most talked about moment of the week. We had a big news drop, everybody, yesterday. The closing of Schwartz and Sandy's has been announced. They will be closing their doors officially to the public by the end of December. I didn't even get to go there. I never even got to freaking try it. And I'm actually kind of peeved about this because I was low-key kind of planning on going out to the West Coast and doing like some kind of a West Coast bar crawl myself in the spring. So now I'm not going to get a chance to ever go to Schwartz and Sandy's, and I am low-key disappointed. What the bigger tone of this is for me is that all VPR related things are coming to an end, and it's just truly depressing me. There was not one single like thing uttered about Vanderpump Rules at Bravo Fan Fest. Obviously, we know nobody was there from any of the cast. Not even anybody from the Valley was there, that I'm just now realizing. That's annoying. They should have had Brittany and Jax there. Why didn't they have? See, I'm kind of like low-key mad at Bravo Fan Fest. Like, I don't know. I go back and forth from it being like so much fun to it being really disappointing. So that's why I think I need to sort my thoughts out a little bit more before I get that next episode recorded. So it's going to be dropping soon. I promised. Check back in the next couple of days. I'm going to do it. So it will be out before the end of the week, but really need to sort my thoughts about it. Okay, but let's talk a little bit deeper about Schwartz and Sandy's and what all this means. So Schwartz and Sandy's has been open for only 2 years. As you guys know, Tom Sandoval, he really was the driving force behind this. This was all his freaking idea. And it all started because there was Tom, right? Well, that was really where it all started. It all started at Sir, where Tom was working for Lisa Vanderpump, and then Lisa approached Tom Sandoval and Tom Schwartz to start Tom, and they opened up that bar, but Tom and Tom only owned like 2%, 2.5% each, a combined 5% or something of Tom. And I think that just drove them to want to open their own business that they owned 100% of. They were riding high. They were at their highest success ever, highest amount that they were ever getting paid from Bravo, highest amount that they were, in popularity. Everybody loved Tom and Tom. They were at their peak of their peak. And this was all pre-Scandoval, which, as we know, Tom goes on to just ruin their entire reputation, all of their credibility, and nobody wants anything to do with them after this. But, when things were good, things were good. And Tom, and I believe Sandoval went to Tom Schwartz and was like, bro, we got to start like our own business. We're not getting paid enough from Lisa. It's bullshit. We got to capitalize now. So upon them wanting to open their own business, I think they probably underestimated, of course, how much money it costs. We know that they're dumbasses, and they had no idea what went into making Tom. They had no idea what went into making Schwartz and Sandy's. It was extremely overwhelming for them. They went way over their budget. They spent way too much money. They went way into the hole, and it ended up in Tom Schwartz and Katie Maloney getting divorced because this, going into the bar business, going into the restaurant business, we know that it's like a killer. Like, it is your whole life. It is. You have to be dedicated, and it is not something that you can just open up and never like go to. You have to like be there every day, be involved in the operation, know what's going on, be involved with the staff, hire properly. Like, I think that they were just so convinced that they were going to bring Greg on as their partner, who he obviously has he had the experience, but I think too that they were probably never supposed to be good. They should have never partnered with Greg, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know how they ever were put in touch with him, but that was just a bad idea from the beginning because you can tell the chemistry between them. Like, they just didn't agree on anything. Like, how do you be business partners with somebody who you never agree with? Like, one of the main things that you should be looking for is somebody that you normally agree with or that you see eye to eye on with most things. So it was just always doomed from the beginning. Now, as things went on and things got progressively worse, Tom and Katie get divorced. They open up. They're struggling. They're not making any money. They're just really having a hard time with this restaurant. Things were already bad. And then Scandoval happened. And Tom cheated on Ariana with Rachel, and the rest is history. I mean, we know what happened after that. Yelp. There was vandalism to Schwartz and Sandy's. People were going there and graffitiing and, booing them. I mean, it was just so bad. Now, it seemed like people were still kind of going there, but it was just not great. You never really heard great things about it. You never were like, oh my God, the food's so good. Like everyone has to go to Schwartz and Sandy's. It was also in some like weird neighborhood that was way outside of where tourists would go, which tourists are going to be the ones that are going to go to a place like Schwartz and Sandy's, not locals. It's very obvious that Tom and Tom opened up this bar for like themselves. They were like, okay, we need a bar to go to every night and we don't want to pay for. Let's just open our own and we'll make it exactly look like what we like. We'll serve the food that we like, the drinks that we like, and like it'll just be for us and our friends to come to. Not a great business model, guys. Just really not great. It was really, truly always doomed. Tom really should have been thinking about his professional relationship when he decided to make the biggest mistake of his life and cheat on Ariana. I mean, I really have no sympathy there for him. But I do feel bad kind of for Tom Schwartz. And somebody really checked me in the comments when they were like, Tom Schwartz is just as bad of a narcissist, if not worse than Tom Sandoval. So you're right. I guess at the end of the day, I don't really feel bad for either of them because they prioritized their selfish needs over what was right for them, their families, which was basically Ariana and Katie at the time. Also, Tom borrowing all of that money from his mom. Oh my God, $250,000 that she's never going to see again. I just feel so freaking bad for the whole situation. I know that I shouldn't, but it's sad. It's really sad that this is closing and that like I don't understand what kind of mental place that they can both be in with this. Now, I want to read you guys what Victoria Robinson, which is Tom Sandoval's girlfriend, wrote on there because there's just so much going on. I mean, there just truly is. It's all the end of an era because even as I'm opening my phone now, like, okay, I kind of had heard some whispers and rumors of things. I don't know if things are like truly confirmed, but let's just try to do some breaking confirmation news here. So not only Schwartz and Sandy's closing, I think that they were trying to keep it open in hopes that they would be able to properly show it on Vanderpump Rules next season, which would maybe bring some more money in. Maybe they would focus on the cast more. Maybe we'd have more characters there. Maybe there would be drama centered around Schwartz and Sandy's for the show as a storyline. Like maybe it was kept open as long as it did and it was for the show. But now with the announcement and the breaking news that Vanderpump Rules has officially been renewed for the 12th season with an all new cast and that everybody from the previous season is out, it is truly the end of an era. I mean, they didn't say that they're not bringing back. I don't know what this means, you guys. I don't know what this means. They haven't said that they're not bringing any of the cast. It's like not like we're never going to see them again. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know why they waited to announce this after Bravo Fan Fest. They should have just told us there. I don't know. All of this is very confusing. I think I'm in denial right now. I don't know what like any of this means. Maybe they're going to make like another new spinoff too, with some of the old cast. Like I'm not going to say anything yet, but we do know, I guess, that the end of Vanderpump Rules as we know it is over. So let's raise our glasses high. This one's for you tonight. I am sad. I'm sad. I don't think I can process it yet. Now, I wanted to read what Victoria, Robinson had wrote on there because she had really said that they weren't able to, I guess properly advertise. They weren't. Should have took a screenshot because I'm not sure like where that post is now, but she basically went on to say like they weren't really able to because of Sandoval, which she's just a dumbass. It's all because of her boyfriend's fault that thing failed and the show failed. He is the problem. Tom is the problem. I am blaming Tom for all of this. Have to. Because, they couldn't get cameras in there. They couldn't get things repatched with the cast because of his actions. The whole thing flopped because of it. It is the end of an era. So we're going to get an all new Vanderpump Rules. I don't know if they're going to call it something new, but it's going to have an all new cast. Now, I had just posted the other day that there was basically, I can't even think right now, you guys. My brain hurts from the fact that Vanderpump Rules is getting canceled. Let's just hold some space for that here right now. So Lala, I think that's why she was like, okay, I'm done. with everybody. I mean, is Sheena going to be unemployed or is she going to be on the Valley? I mean, we just don't know. I need to know what's going to happen with Shishu. Justice for Shishu. Justice for Shishu. Katie. Does that mean Katie is officially just unemployed too? Ariana, we're obviously not worried about. I think that she has a few things waiting for her in the pipeline that she probably was waiting to commit to until she knew about this. I think she's going to be fine. I'm worried about Katie. She has the sandwich shop. You know, I hope that they make that their all. Without the driving force of the show anymore, it's really going to be up to the sandwiches and keeping its own business and reputation going for years to come. You know, I don't want to get the same announcement for something about her that they're deciding to close their doors. I don't want to ever see that come. So we got to continue to support something about her just for the sake of Katie. You know, that's for Katie. We got to keep Katie affluent here. I mean, DJ James Kennedy just announced that he's going to be going on tour with Pauly D. That also makes a lot of sense now, because how was James going to handle a filming schedule and also balance touring with DJ Pauly D? So a lot of these pieces are coming together now. Lala firing Jess because she couldn't afford her anymore without the Vanderpump Rules paycheck. And honestly, her not really having a storyline anymore. So why does she need an assistant? Then James Kennedy announcing his tour with Pauly D. Schwartz and Sandy's closing their doors. What other things are going to come out now? What other things are going to come out now? These were all little breadcrumbs that were happening. I don't think it had anything to do with the cast not needing more money. I think that they would have signed on for like $5 at that point just to keep their relevancy, their job, all of their clout. I think that they pretty much would have went back to like their season 1 paycheck. So I don't think that this ended because they were like their ego. I think that this was like Bravo's decision based on just the lack of genuine and authentic storyline that would have came out of it. It would have been overproduced and it would have been really bad and it maybe would have been really expensive. So damn, what a punch to the gut. Truly, I feel a little bit sick and I feel a little bit sad from this. Okay, well, let's try to move on. Let's try to move on to my number 2 most talked about moment of the week here. We still have a few more things to get through, you guys. My number 2 most talked about moment of the week is the fact that Shannon Beador and John Jansen have officially settled their lawsuit. Shannon wired an amount to the tune of $60,000 directly into the bank account of John Jansen over the weekend. And, you know, we're happy that this is over. I've seen some people be like, yeah, Shannon. Like, I don't really think this means Shannon won. I'm so sick of talking about Shannon, and I know you guys are sick of me complaining about her. So I'm just going to say I'm happy for her that this is over. I'm happy that all of this is coming to an end. And I don't think that you guys should be so sure that Alexis is not coming back next season, because I think that with this storyline being done, there is actually some space to move forward with her maybe coming back, even as a friend of again, and not really even talking about John, but focusing more on her relationship with the girls and just kind of the aftermath. I'm really hoping that like we never talk about any of this ever again, but I know that that's just not going to happen because that's not how Housewives work. We are still talking about Puppygate from season 9 or whatever about Beverly Hills. Like these things just like don't go away. And I think that the more we just recognize that this is real life and that we don't just like get over things in the seasons of the show. Sometimes things in life take longer to get over. I think that the main revelation that was revealed at the end of the show, where Heather told us that John did hear the crash, that his daughter was the one that kept him from running out and checking on her. I mean, there's like a lot to still unpack there. And all I can say is that I hope that Shannon is in therapy and that I hope that I say this like as a character, I don't care for Shannon, right? As a cast member. But of course, as a person and as a human, I am very empathetic to what she has gone through. I don't think that she, you know, has healed enough from this yet. And I want to see her truly move on, possibly meet somebody else, find true love, and be happy. Because happy Shannon, this idea that like Shannon's always miserable and that's why we love her doesn't work for me. I need some evolution here. So I'm praying that we see Shannon come back next season with a new perspective and a new lease on life. I would like to see that. I'm not going to hold my breath. But it's over. It's settled. The transfer has been sent. The lawsuit has been done. And, now we all get to move on with our lives. So another thing, yay, to be happy about. My number 2 most talked about moment of the week. I'm trying to think if anything else really came out of the reunion. Just to wrap up the Real Houses of Orange County reunion for me, we obviously know Tamara's coming back. I think it's comical that people were calling for her firing. Her and Shannon making up in the reunion, not surprised. Shannon needs a friend. I think everybody should be happy. I actually, even though, again, I've been defending her all season, it's very confusing. Everybody wants accountability, right? We're always like, we need to hold our Bravo celebrities accountable. So we're going to just have to wait and see. I don't really know. We will never really know what the truth is between all of their relationships, if they all really love each other. Was Tamara just giving her tough love? Tamara just flubbed. She thought that she pandered to the audience. She thought we were going to want to see her go hard to be able to hold her accountable. And she went too hard. So again, she just overplayed it. She overplayed the play. She threw the touchdown too far into the end zone. We wanted her to throw the ball. We wanted her to call out Shannon, but we didn't want her to be so aggressive. So that was really just the biggest problem. I think I'm just so burnt out on talking about Shannon and Tamara. So yes. Okay, let's move on to my number 1 most talked about moment of the week. We're going to rewind again a little bit. We got to go all the way back to last week when we had the premiere of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, because we need to talk about DORIT driving down the canyon, smoking that cig. Now, I know by now you guys have heard every single podcaster, show, page post about this, but I myself haven't had my chance to really talk about this yet, and I've been dying to. So that is the number 1 most talked about moment of the week from the last week. People are still talking about it, and people are still contemplating what the rest of this season is going to look like for Dorit. She's clearly going to be, the center of the show and the center of the storyline this season. And I think one thing that we're forgetting is that we can't always have the main character be the main character every season. It has to constantly rotate. Now, specifically with Beverly Hills, it's been a lot of Erica and a lot of Kyle throughout the years. Previously to that, it was a lot of LVP and a lot of Kim Richards. It's kind of there's always a center of the drama. It can't always be the same one, and there's got to be a changing dynamic and a rotation that happens. So it's not like Dorit is people are like, oh yeah, she had to have a season before she got fired. I think that the producers are just smart enough to know okay, it's time for us to focus on someone else. And the best way to focus on someone else is by who organically and authentically really does have the most drama going on in their life. So just naturally it was Dorit's turn. It's not it was oh, we're going to manufacture a bunch of shit for Dorit so that she can have her turn. It was just her turn. So what blows everybody away so much is the fact that it is it's unreal sometimes how much the shows are so real. We can't believe it. We're but this must be produced. This must be manufactured. This must be scripted. And it's not. And so I think that was so special about that moment, because it seemed like a scripted television moment, but it was completely organic. And that is why we love these shows. And that is why we love reality TV. And that is why I sit here on my ass every week and fucking talk about this stuff, because it's fascinating to watch real people going through their real lives, and it mimics what we've all dealt with. And we all know somebody who's been through it, if not ourselves, that we can empathize with. And what Dorit specifically is going through, the realization that her husband's an alcoholic, that he needs to go through the program. They used to party together. Dorit's a party girl. Don't you guys remember when Lisa Rinna was like, Dorit, were people doing coke in your bathroom? All right. It's an end of an era for the Kemsleys. They used to be out and about. They were a power couple. So a lot has changed. They've got 2 young kids. Dorit has PTSD. PK's getting sober. All right. When there's these many changes going on, it's kind of almost inevitable sometimes that you're going to start to see the cracks in the foundation and maybe start to consider some different things. I think Beverly Hills is where marriages go to die. If you guys, haven't already noticed, they talk about how none of the women are married anymore. Everybody's either separated or divorced now. So it's okay. You guys know that I love a Real Housewife that is married. I love a Real House husband. And I love also drama around any type of baby daddy, ex, current boyfriend. I think men are important to bring in these extra elements of what's going on in the drama of the lives of the women. So we can't never talk about the men. So I don't want PK to be like too big of a part of the season, but I do think that it is natural to talk about him, Mauricio. The other women don't really like have men to fodder over, but I would love to see them have some mess. I would love to even see like Avi, like Sutton's assistant, get into some drama or something. Like let him spill some tea or something. I don't know. I like when the men get into the mix too. So Dorit ripping down the canyon, smoking that cig. We all empathize, right? We all know that feeling of just being like, okay, like I'm done being perfect. I'm done being Little Miss Homemaker. I'm just going to be myself. And I think that that's so important that she's willing to show us that, and that she's like not going to try to portray this on-screen version of Dorit and this off-screen version of Dorit while she's going through this challenging time in her life. So it was, again, almost a breaking of the fourth wall. I would say it's like the fifth wall, right? The fifth wall is ourselves and how we're trying to portray ourselves on camera. When we break the fourth wall, sometimes it's to expose what other people are doing or to expose what the producers are doing. But breaking the fifth wall is exposing like what I'm doing to myself on camera. I'm exposing even more, a new layer that even the producers didn't even know I was going to show. Like really peeling back the layers here and really allowing the show to like expose, letting us in as the viewers to take part of this. So that whole first episode is so good. I'm loving the after show, and I'm loving Boz. I love that Boz is somebody who immediately says that she is good at reading people and is good at calling bullshit. She's more like of the street. She's street smart, but also book smart. So that's kind of hard to get on one of these shows. We have people like Erica, who's maybe a little more street smart, not so book smart. No, actually, Erica's smart. I'm kind of like into Erica again right now, you guys. She has been doing the guest spot on Tooties in a Pod with Teddy Mellencamp and Tamra Judge. She's been taking Tamra's spot during the Real Houses of Orange County recaps because obviously they don't want Tamra on there just like recapping herself. So listening to Erica, I just think that she has a very strong perspective. She's funny. She has a good sense of humor. Like, I just love her. I would listen to a podcast. I would watch a show of her on her own. So yeah, really into Erica Jane again. I would love to see her getting more into like dating again and stuff. I mean, she definitely talks about that on the podcast a lot. Like she's out there. Love Erica Jane. Yeah. So that was my number one most talked about moment of the week. Again, Dorit, Sig. We just had so many moments over the last week that we're here to talk about. I cannot believe, like, I feel like I need to go back and talk about Vanderpump Rules again. So they are officially recasting the whole show. Vanderpump Rules is not being canceled. It's just coming back with a new cast. We don't know for sure what's happening to all of the members of the old cast. Some of them are going to be on the Valley. We know, okay, it sounds like Lala. Why did Andy have her come on Watch What Happens Live last week? I want to know. Was that just like as a farewell gift? Why did he have her do that? Because he basically had her come on to say that she has no connection with anybody. She also admitted that she's not part of the Valley. Remember, she said, I'm not on that show with those people. So what was the point of her coming on there? There are just some mysteries that we're still waiting to figure out with this. Wow. Just wow. Okay, you guys, let's wrap up this episode here. I appreciate all of you being here for me. I can't believe how much has gone on in the past week. Again, we're going to continue to keep the podcasting going here. December 1st through the 25th, I will be having a new podcast episode dropping. So right now, stop what you're doing. Make sure you hit the follow button, subscribe, download all future episodes automatically. Make sure you're following on my YouTube, on my Instagram to get the announcements of the shows. Every day I will be revealing what show will be dropping. And they're going to be anywhere from, again, little snippets and things in here, maybe little anecdotes to full-on recaps that are going to be coming over the next couple of weeks. So part of my Bella Talks TV Advent calendar. So please, again, yes, make sure you follow. Make sure you rate, review, and subscribe. Give me 5 stars and leave me a review, even if it's just I love Bella. I love Amanda. I love reality TV. This is a great countdown show. This is a random show, but it's funny. I don't care what you say. Just keep it positive and make sure you leave me some good reviews, please, because that is the best way to boost my visibility and get other people to discover me. So, every single week this podcast grows, my page grows, my outreach grows, and I have so many goals for 2025 that I'm making my vision board now. And I want to just be able to deliver like what you guys want to hear, what you guys like and don't like about the show. I really want to know. So please reach out to me at bellatalkstv@gmail.com if you want to collab with me, have me on, come on the show, leave me any feedback, any negative feedback that you want to email me that you don't want to leave a review for. I would appreciate that. And again, make sure you're following because that is the best way to keep updated. So, okay, I will let you guys all go and I hope you have the best rest of your week. Again, stay tuned for my Bravo Fan Fest feedback. And I love you all. Ciao, Bellas.